I'm Jessica, standing in the cold, watching as my parents, Mark and Lisa, are being led away in handcuffs. I can't help but let out a long, awaited sigh of relief. The weight that had been pressing on my chest for so long is finally starting to lift. But it all started so differently. A few hours ago, I was sitting in the darkness of the living room, waiting. I was kneeling beside my grandfather, Judge Henry, on the freezing, cold floor. His breathing was shallow, and his hand in mine was like ice. When his eyes fluttered open and he whispered, "Help me get revenge," I knew that something sinister was afoot. I'm a military police investigator, and I have seen my fair share of crimes. But finding Henry in this state, in a house as cold as a freezer in the middle of a blizzard, with the thermostat set to off, I knew it wasn't an accident. The note on the counter, "We went on a trip. Take care of Grandpa," was like a cruel taunt. I wrapped Henry in the thermal blankets I kept for field operations, gave him a glucose gel, and placed him in the warmest corner of the room. Then, I prepared for my parents' return. I sat in the high-backed leather chair that Mark always claimed as his, placed my service weapon on the side table as a warning, and put the stack of papers from the home server beside it. At 7:15 p.m. I heard the car. The headlights swept across the window, followed by the sound of car doors slamming and boots crunching on snow. Then came their laughter. They sounded so carefree, as if they hadn't just left an old man to freeze to death. "God, I miss the beach already," Lisa said as they walked in. "Why is it so cold? Did the old man leave a window open?" Mark replied, "Probably. If he freezes the pipes again, I'll put him in a home." I let them get comfortable, and when they reached for the light switch, I said, "Don't bother." My voice echoed in the silent house. They were startled. When I revealed myself, Mark was half annoyed, half shocked. "What are you doing sitting in the dark? Turn the heat on." I told him they had locked the controls from their phones. I threw the papers on the table. "This is the system log. It shows you turned off the heat manually and blocked his attempts to turn it back on. This isn't energy saving. It's attempted manslaughter." Mark stammered about an eco mode and not knowing it would get so cold. Lisa called me crazy, saying I was seeing enemies in family. But I wasn't backing down. I told them they were trespassing on a crime scene and to get out. For a moment, it seemed like I had won. Mark looked scared, and Lisa was reaching for the door. But then his expression changed. Suddenly, the room was filled with blue and red lights, and sirens blared. Mark had called the police before they even parked the car. He screamed, "She has a gun. She's going to kill us." The officers rushed in, guns drawn. I knew better than to fight. I raised my hands and tried to tell them I was a federal agent, but they slammed me to the floor and handcuffed me. Mark showed the officers a guardianship document, claiming he was Henry's guardian and I was trespassing. The sergeant, Officer Davis, seemed to believe him. As they dragged me out, Mark whispered, "You play checkers. I play the law. By morning, he'll be dead, and you'll be in a psych ward." I was devastated. All these years, I had been sending money home. 3 years ago, when Mark called me in tears, saying the heater broke and they couldn't afford to fix it, I emptied my savings. 2 years ago, when Lisa said she needed a mental health retreat, I worked double shifts to pay for it. And all this time, they had been using me, waiting for Henry to die for his money. But as I was about to be locked in the cruiser, I remembered I was an investigator. I told Officer Davis to check the timestamp on the guardianship papers. The smart, home logs showed Mark was in the Caribbean when he claimed to get emergency custody. I also pointed out that if Henry was the beloved patriarch, why was he locked in the unrenovated wing with the heat off? Doubt started to show on Officer Davis's face. He went back into the house. But Lisa was quicker. She destroyed the evidence and staged a scene to make it look like I was unstable. They found pills in my pocket and said I drugged Henry. Just as I was losing all hope, I heard a cane strike the floor. Henry, standing upright in his old judicial robes, thundered, "Do you still uphold your oath?" He pressed a button, and the TV showed Mark forging documents and Lisa laughing about their plan to let Henry freeze. Officer Davis ordered my release. Henry pressed charges against Mark and Lisa for attempted manslaughter, fraud, and forgery. They were dragged away into the cold, just as they had tried to do to Henry. I turned up the heat, and Henry sank into his chair. "I'm tired," he said, "but I'm warm." "We saved each other," I replied.